Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. I thought, you know what, if I'm going to jump on and do this video, which is somewhat of a negative one, I may as well grab a little bit of sunshine. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed a little bit of sunshine if you've been able to. I've been on the road most of today, so this is my first chance at a breather, and I'm taking it to talk to you guys about the fact that the player that people had down as the nailed on number one signing, number one in terms of number, goalkeeper, and what was thought to be the first man in the door for Newcastle this summer, Newcastle are set to walk away from the deal as Burnley are now asking for 40 million for James Trafford. My word. Let me know your thoughts and comments on this one down below. The hope is that an agreement can still be reached. There was so much positivity to this one. James Trafford himself had spoken to the media, spoken to Ben Foster on his podcast about the fact that he was so close to joining Newcastle, that he wanted the move to Newcastle, that he wanted to stay in the Premier League. He did his duty. He stayed with Burnley, got them promoted, and it was ready for the big reveal. The young man to come in, take up that number one spot at Newcastle to take us potentially forward for the next 10 years. And look, it is what it is. If it doesn't work out, we'll find other options. I think Nick Pope is still a fully capable Premier League goalkeeper, so I don't even necessarily have goalkeeper as like the top of my list. I've got right wing, striker, centre-back ahead of goalkeeper, but what was hoped to be one of the more simple signings for us has suddenly taken a turn, and the reasons are there for why. Bearing in mind that we offered a reported 20 to 30 million for him last summer as a newly relegated Championship goalkeeper. We were willing to pay then 20 to 30 million. He's now, let's be honest, been a massive part of Burnley's success in the Championship to the Premier League. So the price will go up. My argument would be that the Premier League's a far harder place to play your football than the Championship. And didn't really set the world alight when he was in the Premier League. In fact, he actually got dropped to the bench for the second half of the season because he wasn't doing a great job in the Premier League. So there is no guarantee that he will do it when he comes up. Obviously, the hope is, that's why Newcastle are looking to pay the money. But that's why they're asking for more now. A year down the line, his stock has rose massively. Along with that, they're now Premier League side. They've just got paid a bumper 150 million for getting into the Premier League. They're going to get a £200 million parachute over 3 years if they don't stay in the Premier League. The money that they needed last summer is not the same money that they need now. So they can start to play a little bit more hardball. They don't have to say yes to selling players they don't want to. And they reckon Scott Parker doesn't want to let them go, doesn't want to have to go and, and from the point of view of Burnley, for them, they've got their number one. Obviously, the money will help with them secure other players. It'll help with security over the years if they don't stay in the Premier League. It's unlikely that they will. And this is another conversation in football, teams not staying in the Premier League. I mean, that's something that needs to be looked at totally separately. PSR. I mean, Leicester getting PSR claims. I mean, my God. They came in, they spent money to try and compete to just stay in the league. They didn't stay in the league, and then they're getting done for PSR. It's absolute madness. So yeah, there's that. There's the fact that they don't want to sell. They just want to have him as part of the team. That Scott Parker wants to have him as one of their players. And then the big one as well is Manchester City. Manchester City have a 20% fee clause. So whatever Burnley sell Trafford for, Man City walk in and get 20% of it. So when you're talking 40 million, well, actually, Burnley themselves are only getting closer to 32.5 million, because Man City are picking up 7.5. I mean, there's been claims that Man City were potentially interested in him. Now the reports are coming out that Chelsea are. And that's actually what worries me more than anything about this. Because you can talk about, we'll get an agreement soon, we're looking to make an agreement, try and bring them down to 32, 30 million, whatever we want to do. That's the report that Newcastle could well walk away if a deal can't be struck. Chelsea, on the other hand, the people who are selling their women's team themselves to make, they'll walk in, they'll pay 40 million. Like, PSR has scarred Newcastle. We're worried to spend the money now because we don't want it to hurt us in the future. I think what's hurt us here more than anything else is not getting this deal done last summer. For all of the reasons that I've just mentioned, you know, on some level, I understand why Burnley are asking for more money. It's like us asking for more money on Isak. We want more money on Tino Livramento. However, I don't think he's worth 40 million. I think that's a stretch too far. I think 30 million was the right fee. But because of the situation change, if we paid 30 million for him last summer, maybe you could have argued we paid too much then. I think this summer 30 million is about right. But because of the factors that I've just explained, it's allowing Burnley to put their foot down and go, no, we want more. And what it's also allowing is teams like Chelsea, teams like Man City to go, ooh, all right, well, maybe I am interested. And if Chelsea walk in and pay the 40 million, it's madness in terms of PSR. And it just makes me wonder, from Newcastle's point of view, should we just be paying it? Should we just be getting the player in? And if we're not going to, then maybe we need to be looking abroad and looking at different options, because we're seeing this on every deal we're trying to make now. You talk about Elanga, the fee coming in for him is looking to be closer to 50 million. Reports, again, from the Daily Mail are that Newcastle are still pushing on that one and that we are still trying to get a deal going there. I think if Forest want 50 million for Elanga, I'm tempted to say just go and pay it, to be honest. Because once again, how much are we fighting for here? Is it 40? Is it 45? What kind of money are we trying to make back on that one? He's Premier League proven, third most assists in the league this season. Scored goals, you know. Forest fans saying that arguably alongside Chris Wood, he was the man that really pushed them into European football this season. And if we aren't going to pay the money, you know, Manchester United, like, not wasting any time on the Mbeumo one, pay the man. Cunha, pay the man. Chelsea paying for Delap. I appreciate... Newcastle have found ourselves in quite a strange spot, because rightly so, we want Premier League proven players. Trafford, slight exception, but you get what I'm trying to say. Eddie Howe wants players that he knows and has extensively looked into before we buy them. I get that as well. What do you get with those two things? A high price tag. The reason players in the Premier League are more expensive, the reason that teams demand more money, is because of all the reasons I mentioned in the first half of this video. If what we want is players on a shorter fee, it's looking at France, it's looking at Spain, it's looking at alternative options. What you then don't get is Premier League proven, and what you don't get is, I guess, more easily attained information on the player. What are they like in their personal life? What are they like to hang around? Do they speak the language? You know, there's two things here. What we're seeing, however, because of Newcastle, people know have got money to spend, because we know we are one of the few teams who don't have issues with PSR, because of all these things, the fees are just going up and up. And this is where Newcastle, for me, need to make a decision. We either pay the money or we go and look somewhere else, because this isn't going to be this isn't just a thing that's happening for the first few weeks of the window. This will happen all window. This will keep happening. The only thing that would stop this happening is the end of this month, the PSR deadline, because suddenly that's when things change. That's when teams can't keep pushing the boundaries. You know, maybe that's when Burnley, Forest, more notably Aston Villa, Everton, Southampton, those teams can't keep pushing that more button. We want more, because suddenly they've got 3 days to go till the end of June, and if they don't sell, they are deducted points. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine to continue to have these conversations with these players, trying to knock an extra 5 million off Trafford, 5 million off Elanga. But there's a point where you've got to just swallow the pill and just say, okay, we're paying the fee for a reason. And if we're not going to do it, look abroad, or get onto some of these PSR teams and make something happen at the end of the month. Thoughts and comments on Newcastle potentially walking away from James Trafford. Do you think he's worth the 40 million? Should we push the button and just get it done? It's somebody in before the pre-season to work with this summer. Same with Alanga. Same with the likes of a Gahey, 40 million. Should we be pushing the button, or are we right to fight over this £5 million fee? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. Once again, subscribe if you haven't already. If you've enjoyed this video of me sitting in the sunshine talking about transfers. But yeah, thank you for watching. As I say, plenty more where this came from. Loads to talk about for Newcastle at the minute. So don't miss out, and I'll catch you later.